So again, that
All right,
mirror match
we are back.
rematch.
This is the Master Duel Finals. Team 7 versus SNIPE Hunters. This is about Yugioh. Like, comment, subscribe, share the videos. This is the WCS World Championship Master Duel 2024. Let's get into it.
Grand final of the Master Duel category of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2024. SNIPE Hunters taking on Team 7.
Sequel in Seattle, it's on the move.
Looks like we are starting off by watching Josh versus Ryan. Opening with a bonfire, getting immediately Ash Blossomed with that alternate artwork. Just in case you wondered.
Thank you. And again, this is kind of symptomatic of the Fire King Snake Eye duelist not wanting to use anything but the Fire King Snake Eye just because of the immense power of that deck right now.
And it turns out the bonfire was completely unnecessary. We already had the copy of Snake Eye Ash in hand. We're going to go for the Poplar, the original Sinful Spoils. I think we've seen this a few times.
I think that it's very interesting using the Ash on the bonfire because...
That was an Oak from hand, by the way. I just wanted to point that out. Ash summon Oak from hand. Kind of interesting.
A lot of monsters on the side of Ryan Yu.
Ryan Yu popping off.
Without a negation now, you have to imagine for the Ponix or for the Fire King Island, does mean that if Ryan can find either of those, the Fire King parts of this Fire King Snake Eye deck could very well come online pretty soon.
Okay, we do see the Flame Bridge hitting the board here. Now we have access to
Duel B, I
Oak
see a
and
Centurion,
Ash
and
and
Duel C,
Poplar
I
in the
see
graveyard on the crackback.
tier
We
limit
talked
for
about it many
red
times.
team.
Flame Bridge being so good at not only helping you combo off on the first turn, but also giving you a ton of resilience against your opponent's plays, because on their turn you're going to trigger all these effects as well.
Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf showing you that there are more Link 2s aside from SP Little Knight.
Absolutely.
Like Team 7
will be summoned to its
it
position and get an add back. I think right now there isn't actually a good way to do that, so we might be able to sequence this in a way where we can actually put a fire in the grave to trigger this effect. I believe the Link Kribo is then going to add something back. Our grave right now, I think, is just Flamebridge Oak, correct? Maybe? Adding back that Oak.
One thing I've been noticing is as Team 7 Ryan is continually to combo and go straight, I mean, unopposed in his full combos. I've seen Josh has been looking at his teammate's computer over and over and maybe saying he's got nothing in his hand, he's going to let him build a combo, and then just kind of maybe commentating on how his friends are doing and how his other teammates are performing. Just let it all unfold, and then when it's my turn, I'll deal with it. Let's see if I can help where I can.
Appaloosa Bow, the Goddess now coming out to further reinforce the monster effect negation. So if Josh is indeed playing Fire King Snake Eye, the monster effects are going to get negated. And here we said the disruption, the Ash Blossom, it's been committed to the Snake Eye cards. So the Ponix, the Sanctuary, the Fire King Island should very well resolve here. And this looks very scary for SNIPE Hunter's team captain.
And we can see here, I mean, we all know it, but Snake Eye Fire King is so resilient against interruptions. We did get Ash, no counter to it, didn't matter, and we were able to set up a 2-material Appaloosa before even committing the original Sinful Spoils.
And Ulcanix now resolving to summon the Garunix, and this looks really good for Ryan.
I mean, Control C, Control V, I agree with everything.
Destroying the Arvata in deck, triggering that effect to revive. Bring back the Ulcanix. And for a Link 2 here, let's see what we go for.
Is it going to grab the Charmer? No, IP Masquerade. Okay.
Make the IP Masquerade, so we will probably be trying to find a way to Flame Bridge, or, yep, put that right in the grave.
Promethean Princess.
Got the Promethean Princess online, reviving the Arvata, giving us a monster negate. Well, 3 monster negates now with the Appaloosa negates.
And linking away the Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames to access the amphibious swarm ship Ambler Whale. We've seen so many.
All right, let's see what the setup could do.
Just been decided by the access to the Ambler Whale. Eventually, if you want to, the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix as well. Really, really promising.
Now you're dealing with those 3 negates, and then you have a plethora of things in the graveyard, comboed with the Ambler Whale, which can also destroy and bring stuff back. Ryan's in a really good position, but let's see, we're going to have a little bit of a mirror match here.
Yep, opening with the Fire King Island, a little bit worse than Sanctuary in Island, but it is what it is. Still a great card.
Okay, so SNIPE Hunter's team captain Josh did take the Fire King Snake Eye mirror match challenge. He did not dare to pick Labyrinth against Ryan, who is widely considered to be one of the best Labyrinth duelists in the world. But regardless, these are 2 of the best duelists in the world, end of sentence. And it's really exciting to see where they go.
Yeah, I mean, when you are face down with the same board that you're potentially trying to build, you kind of know the ins and outs of it. So we'll see where we want to interrupt.
And the starters
the horse
are
card
going to struggle
Centurion, they're attacking directly.
There to negate the monster effects. It negates
I see the Yugioh,
the ability
blue
to
team,
commit to the field in a similar manner. And actually, we now have Arvata even joining
Unchained, I think.
in that chain.
Pretty important here because Appaloosa cannot use its effect more than once per chain. So by having the Arvata, we are able to negate 2 different monster effects all in the same sequence, stopping the Volcanic, stopping the Garunics in hand. This is a really good spot to be in. The Whale's going to trigger here, targeting the IP Masquerena to bring that back. We still have access to the Promethean Princess in the grave. The IP can go into SP or whatever. This seems like a very strong opening field.
Yeah, you have to imagine once the Appaloosa, the goddess, is at 0 attack, but actually called by the grave is now coming through to stop that IP Masquerena from coming back, to stop it from... Oh, actually, sorry, that is on the Ambler Whale, I think.
Yes, yes.
I guess you want to get that fire
Regardless, it does stop the IP
Masquerena
from coming back to the field.
I mean, depending what the set card is, I mean, he's gotten through a few negates and he's gotten through a few interrupts. We're going to see what the other 3 cards in his hand are.
And the Appaloosa being an 800 attack is not ideal. That's very easy to run over. We see
and
the
fact that you don't see too many mirror matches, that you only have like,
so this is kind of interesting because
out of the whole card pool, you have to share the whole card pool,
of course, but
between
then
your
the
teams
island
is
will
very
immediately
good too.
send to the grave.
You don't see a whole bunch of mirror matches.
Oh, and we see, so now we've committed a ton of cards into this. The Diabell Star is going to get destroyed, and you don't even get the set for the original Sinful Spoils. That is a really rough position to be in.
That is definitely a high impact imperm right there.
See the Divine Temple. Okay, Divine Temple is interesting. I don't know if we've seen this too much in the Fire King variants, or maybe they're just not drawing it or activating it. What do you think about it?
I think you mentioned even yesterday, towards the end of day 1, that we really hadn't seen Divine Temple of the Snake Eye in many of these decks. I think that it is a valid option to try and find some semblance of a way back into this game for Josh. But right now, you have to consider Ryan as being firmly in the lead in this game.
We're destroying the Kieran with the island. I mean, adding another Kieran, this seems not necessarily cut and dry, but it seems like Ryan is in a fantastic position, triggering all these Fire King effects in the graveyard. And while the Temple is on there and it could bring up the Snake Eyes Ash, do we really care about that when we have an Arvata and an Appaloosa negate? I don't think so.
Sacred Fire King Garunix now coming back from the graveyard. Where does Josh go from here?
Bringing back the original Garunix as well with the Kieran.
A big field.
I mean, how much damage is this on board? Chilled, you're the quick math.
The quick math, that's going to be 27. Oh, they're saying that's an extra 900.
21. I think that is
game
on board already.
27 plus 27 plus 8 plus 18, I think was 8,000 exactly.
I don't think we have to do anything
more.
Now
we have more than 8,000.
Yeah,
we're going
this
up.
is great. This was very handedly won by Ryan. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. You never know. There could be a battle fader. But this looks like Ryan has really taken control of this first game quite easily. Very strong start of a hand, but also really good sequencing with those early plays, making the Appaloosa before ever going
Ryan,
into the original
first game.
I mean, unfortunately, when you just draw Ash and you Ash the Bonfire and your opponent can full combo after that, that is, how do you break that board going second?
We got Raymond out on Yubel.
We are switching over to
Quantal
Ray versus Quantal. We are deep into a Yubel versus Tier Limit matchup.
So
Tier Limit not only having a lot on the board, just
far.
a Fenrir in defense mode and a couple back row, which I guess is fine in some situations, but the Yubel player is going off. Ray is now going into the Unchained Soul of Anguish. What do you think is going to happen?
Unfortunately, nothing at the moment because Forbidden Chalice was just dropped. Sending the Fenrir to the grave and unfortunately negating our little big Link 3.
And with that victory over Josh, Team 7 now take the lead thanks to Ryan, thanks to the team captain. And Snipe Hunters need to make a comeback if they're going to hold on to their world title.
So I don't know if I just saw that correctly, but I'm pretty sure did the Solic activate? Did I see that correctly?
No, I think you need to control a Tier Limit.
That's what I thought too, but I thought something activated. Oh, we do have
the Tier Limits cast Hero, which will put a Tier Limits on the board and potentially give us some more
it was the
mills.
droplet that activated and sent the
Let's roll the dice. That's what Snipe Hunters is all about, right?
True enough.
We see the Maxi hitting the board. That is a big problem. You know, we've seen Maxi a number of times on the turn player's turn, and it might seem kind of random, but really stopping your opponent from trying to build up a board on your turn to defend themselves is great, and punishing them, I mean, we're going to get a draw here, but also if we mill any sort of fusion enabler, that also would potentially give us a draw too.
So, Chilled, I know you are a firm advocate for the Yubel deck. We've seen opening of the Spirit Gates countless times now, Dark Metal Beast as well. Tell me how you would approach the matchup against Tier Limits.
Well, I mean, against Tier Limits, both of us are going to be pulling from the graveyard, so we have to worry about that going into it. You get Phantom of Yubel on the board, you're going to insulate yourself a little bit. You have the Sprite Elf, you can immediately try and put a Nightmare Ibli on the other side in terms of locking them out. I mean, tier elements aren't necessarily known for being super powerful into links.
I guess we'll see here. Speaking of links, we do have the Spirit of Yubel being linked off.
Access
Talker potentially looking to end the game here.
We have seen this, I think, just 1 or 2 other times throughout this tournament. Access Code Talker, you know, maybe it's not the best link for anymore, but it is one of the best for cleaning up duels. And with that 5300 attack, the ability to pop a whole bunch of cards, we might just be opening up for a game push.
Well, we still got to get to 8K.
Oh, right. We don't have access to the Nightmare Pain, so the Yubel won't be able to do extra damage. That's fair. Still pretty good control on the board, though.
Absolutely. I wish we knew what was in the graveyard that Sprite Elf could be pulling from. So hopefully we'll see that pop up on the opponent's turn.
Access Code Talker, Sprite Elf, and Phantom of Yubel. And protected by Sprite Elf.
Now passing over to Quantal here. Can the Telements make it back? We've seen how resilient this deck can be. We've seen that the field does not matter so much as long as the graveyard is set up, as long as there's something in the hand. But we are going to swap over now to Emre versus Jesse Kotton. Another Telements versus Centurion.
Tier decks popping off. Well, not really.
All right, so jumping into a pretty complicated board state here. Looks like we're resolving a whole bunch of graveyard effects, as you would expect tier elements to be doing. We are facing down 2 different Bestials. The Baldrake is going to be online, I'm assuming. Maybe it already used its effect, but it's hard to say. We also have the Baron de Floor. So I'll look at in Rhino Heart, Chillman's Kashtira milling, 2 whiffs, basically. We got the Shiren effect.
Having access to the level 6 Bestials really good again, because primarily the tuners for the Centurion are level 4, and then you can access the likes of your Baron de Fleur. But on the topic of extra deck monsters, we now have Telements delving in, Primeval Planet Polar Rhino actually triggering as well.
I mean, we don't know the board state, but we have to assume has Baron been used already? That's something that...
I guess so, considering it just got removed from the field.
Yep.
Yeah, either way, even if it hadn't been used, really difficult situation to put in because the Kit Kellis was always insulated from that negation effect. Absolutely. And negating the field spell is fine, but not really what you want to be doing. But obviously, it would have been done
if it was able to.
We're going to see the Fairy Tale Snow, a card that Jesse Kotton is very well known for loving. And we see that coming out from the graveyard, banishing 7 cards. Like I said, we just kind of jumped into this. Hard to say how many cards are in the graveyard, but we've seen a ton of things go from the field to the grave already. I bet there's a lot of cards in there, and we are targeting the Baldrake, which would be great because now the Baldrake is turned off, assuming that it had not used its effect already. We're going to activate that Kit Kellis effect, targeting itself, going for some more mills.
When the 7th cards are banished, did you see that a Dark Ruler did pop up? That's our first one we've seen.
I did not see that. Interesting.
A Dark Ruler has been banished in the banishment file, but we have not seen one all weekend.
Oh, I did see Jesse mill the card destruction. If you guys were able to watch some of the replays from yesterday, there was a pretty crazy game where Jesse was able to discard, I believe, 15 cards out of his opponent's hand using card destruction. And also we see Ray has 1 hit, so we are up 2-0 with Team 7. What's going to happen in this last one? It's hard to say. I think right now both players have some stuff on the board, but I think that Jesse is kind of in full control. We now are bringing the happy back to the board, and I think that Jesse is happy about that.
Happy.
Nice.
All right, we're going for a rank 8. Let's see what we got.
Zombie Vampire, you have to imagine, start the
absolutely
next graveyard filling.
Not really anything you're worried about hitting in the Centurion deck. You know, a little bit more dicey against mirror matches, but totally fine. And at this point, even if the Zombie Vampire misses on effects, even just putting more cards in the grave for Snow to banish is great.
Oh, we have a 3, we have a 7.
Centurion deck is in a bad spot right now.
Almost certainly, right?
Yeah.
Team 7 now up 2 games to 0. Can they make it a third here? Looks to be the case, as Jesse
milling
does.
2 Imseti, by the way, so all 3 Imseti are in the graveyard. And we do want to remind you, I mean, of course we talked about it, but Team 7 lost to Team Snipe Hunters last year in this exact same situation. They're hungry for this win. Obviously, Snipe Hunters wants to run it back, be the 2-time world champion, but Team 7 have been spending all year thinking about this moment, and here they are back facing the exact same team. Not even just the opportunity to win the world championship instead of getting 2nd place like last year, but the opportunity to actually show Snipe Hunters what they've been doing all year.
Yeah, it's like a Rocky training montage. You got a year to get back in shape and come out and really show, like, this is the World Championship. I want to take this home.
And a really prominent team, TEAM7.
Surprised to see both teams back in the finals.
But the individual components.
It is what it is. This is Yugioh, top tier competition, top tier competitors. And I'm bringing this all to you on my channel. I grind Yugioh. Like, comment, subscribe, share the videos with your friends.
We're almost at 1,000 subs. Very prominent player with those two basically rivaling each other for success in tournaments.
But you know what always happens, and I'm willing to put Calpico on the line for it. I bet you, if there is a sweep here, we will see a reverse sweep from Snipe Hunters, and it will tie it up. Every single time we've asked the duelists to raise it to the next level, they always do it. They always do it. They always take it to the third set. Yeah, Snipe Hunter's very, very reliable when it comes to those clutch moments, so we may very well see that. Ryan as well for TEAM7, very, very prominent player. Did get a lot of shout-outs from the other players in that survey that was published in-game. Really commands respect from everybody. Quantal, Emre, very consistent for Snipe Hunters. You're seeing it now. Emre still in this one, while Ray managed to win his game and is, again, just a force for TEAM7. This is an interesting board state because you got 4 in hand and the board isn't, it's not like it's a broken board. They both can build from this. And knowing 4 unknown cards,
didn't really hit anything with the Scream. I think this is a pretty interesting situation. We've dismantled the board, we've built the board, and I think that Emre is in a rough position.
Snipe Hunters managed to beat Jesse on Telements last year. Telements this year, an entirely different beast. You have the Horus filling in a couple of gaps in that
I'm gonna
deck,
have to brush
but
off
it
that
is
tier
still
deck.
A tall order to defeat Jesse this time around.
Everybody playing it.
I think it is, you know,
Definitely
TEAM7 would love
deck,
to win this 3-0, of course, because that would mean heading into the next game, if they only won 2 out of 3, they would just instantly win the World Championship without even having to go to a third set. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That is just something that's probably on their minds right now. I'm sure Jesse's thinking about that because he knows his teammates have both won their first set.
I feel like if I'm going to continue the movie idea, my sequel in Seattle kind of needs it to go to set 3. If it ends after 2, they're not going to get us another movie.
Oh man, you think best 2 out of 3 World Championships?
It's gotta be. I mean, come on. You have a rematch after a whole year. You want this to go to Game 9.
Going to see the Keldo actually triggering the Planet here, which is very strong, popping the face down Baldrake. And it looked like Emre actually had access to all 3 Bystials. Well, actually all 4 Bystials. We've seen all 4 of them so far.
So that also suggests that there was no branded deck under consideration here because the Telements deck would eat a lot of the resources. The Centurion also eats a lot of the resources that the branded deck needs to function. And it shows that Snipe Hunter's investment in the decks that they've chosen could potentially be rewarded here, but not if Jesse Kotton has anything to say about it.
We do see the Druid Swarm activated to force the Fairy Tale Snow. SP Little Knight is going to be chained, targeting itself and the Magnemite. Let's see if there's a chain on the other side.
TCG
nope.
And
okay, we have
Duel.
the Fairy Tale Snow getting chained here. What are we banishing? I think there's like a million cards in the graveyard, yeah. I mean, that was almost all spells anyway.
All of
probably even more activations.
Traps.
Now, it's interesting to see here, it seems like those were almost like 2 little bait interactions. What does Emre actually have? Because that's not the full plan. That's just kind of like, okay, I'm getting you to use my activations. What does he do with
We got the Trudea right here.
Yeah, so exactly, Centurion Trudea is a good starting point for any Centurion combo. Will allow you further access to some of the in-engine cards and hopefully, eventually, access to a level 10 Synchro monster.
What are some of your favorite level 10 synchros?
Baron de Fleur?
Always and forever?
It's on there. Psychic Hand Punisher is also level 10?
That's level 11.
Or 11.
Yeah.
11.
So we see the Primera get put to the back row and activate its effect as well. That is going to get stopped by the Baron de Fleur.
Which makes sense.
To be stopped. Now, I will say, from this position, Jesse, at least in terms of we don't know what's in his hand here, he might actually be kind of low on interaction. We've used the Snow, we've used the Baron, it looks like we don't have a Havness, I would say. What are we thinking from Emre's perspective? I mean, he's used something. Oh, we do have the Gargoyle in hand. Maybe this can get us somewhere.
Level 8 as well means that there's access to the level 12.
I think we're going for Typhon.
Yeah, probably going for the Typhon to buy an extra turn.
Yep. Typhon being pretty interesting right here because it will prevent the Baron from being, activating its effect. And that is good. It doesn't have the negation, but it does have the destruction effect. We're going to bounce that right back. That will trigger the Blessing of Horus.
Duel Matef.
Oh!
Ooh, drawing 3 cards. That's crazy.
Yeah, not really what you want to be doing, but it is what it is. I'm not sure what we can really do to get out of this situation.
Stand-up Centurion is actually a very, very good starting point for the Centurion combo. Again, we mentioned how good Trudea was. Yeah, really, really well played
like I say all the time,
by Emre to be able to be as resilient as he has been.
Always crazy,
still
super crazy.
Very difficult for the Centurion deck.
You never know who's really going to win until it comes down to the last minute.
And also keep in mind that Jesse can pretty much instantly put the Fairy Tale Snow into the graveyard if he wants to. We see the activation of Tearlament's Grief, such a powerful card. This didn't really see a ton of play as far as I know in the TCG when full power Tearlaments were around, but in Master Duel specifically, this is such a great addition, just giving you even more consistency. Summoning the Shyren, activating the effect by sending it to the graveyard. We can fusion summon for pretty much whatever we want here. We are going to get met with a Bestial Druisworm.
Got the Druisworm coming out.
Now, from Jesse's perspective, all of Emre's cards are known. They're all face up. He knows exactly what to play into, and I think that is a huge advantage, especially from Emre's position. He's probably looking at 5 unknowns in hand and not looking very happy.
Yeah, Jesse Kotton, 5 cards in hand, but 4 now, 7 in deck, and so many in the graveyard. The Tearlament's really doing a lot of work here.
Trying to do the quick math. You got 7 over there, you got 4 over there. We still got 20 more cards in the graveyard?
Quite a bit, actually.
4 cards in deck now. 3.
With the Scream sending 3 and the Kashtira Tearlament sending 2 more. I mean, this is just so much. Was that another snow that we just spilled?
1 card in deck.
Yeah. That is a little scary. I don't want to pretend like that doesn't matter at all. Obviously, I think that Jesse's in a position here where he can probably assemble enough damage to win. But potentially, 1 card in deck, you could look into a deck out. He did deck out one of his opponents, so it would only be fitting. But let's see, the Fairy Tale Snow was going to flip the Typhon face down. And now we pretty much have the world at our disposal here. Because remember, the Fairy Tale Snow, of course, is not a once per turn at all. Not per copy, not per, whatever. So you can just keep using it over and over again. And if you have a graveyard as loaded as Jesse's, you can kind of just keep summoning Link monsters, Xyz monsters, whatever you want.
Indeed, a lot of extension opportunities for Jesse Kotton here. And here is one of them.
Link 4. Appaloosa, perhaps?
Or access code toolkit? Nope. Topologic Zero.
Topologic Zero.
Okay, we have not seen this one for a minute. 9,400 attack points, by the way. It gains attack based on banished cards, which is huge. And also, don't forget that Jesse actually has a ton of Horus monsters in grave as well, which is very powerful. We're going to chain the SP Little Knight to the field spell being activated, taking out the Trudea.
And thereby denying the ability to actually synchro summon.
Yeah, so now we're just facing down Bestial Druis for him, basically. 5,600 life points. That's going to be game right there. 98, 2,000. So TEAM7 has gone 3-0 in the first round. You have to imagine that is a huge confidence boost, and they're probably feeling very good heading into the second set.
Snipe Hunters backs against the wall, but we've seen them come back from more difficult situations than this. TEAM7 really well played in that first round of games and will enter the second set with 3-0 on the scoreboard.
But like we said, these people, they know when they are 3 games back, they're going to play harder, they're going to play stronger, they're going to communicate right now, they're going to figure out how they want to approach it. I think we're finally going to get some deck switching.
I'm also really looking forward to see that Jesse Kotton versus Quantal mirror match on the Tearlament's deck. I know that it's basically, at this point, just a race to who can Xyz summon Abyss Dweller first, but it's still super exciting to see.
And I will note here, I mean, I know Quantal in his post-match interview for the semifinals mentioned Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller was not actually in every Tearlament deck. It was actually not in the majority of them, I'm pretty sure. So that was something that, people were really on last format. I think even people were playing 2 copies of it. This format, though, maybe not as popular. You might not have as much of extra deck space as you did last year.
Will Snipe Hunters bounce back? Will TEAM7 take it all? Let's see.
But so powerful into a number of matchups. I think almost every time we've seen Abyss Dweller summoned, it has won the game instantly.
Oh my god, yeah. For all the decks, all these current decks that are making it into the finals, every single one of them relies on the graveyard. You turn that off, you turn off the whole deck.
I think Flunderies could stand against it.
You are right. Flunderies is the probably only one, and Dimension Shifter by itself could completely shut off a deck and turn the game around.
That being said, having just seen the Centurion from Emre fall to the Tillemans from Jesse, it means we won't get to see Flunderies versus Tillemans here.
That is a sad state of affairs for us.
One thing that I think is kind of interesting is that because we have started this off with Team 7 at 3-0, is that if we potentially win in the set 2, you will miss out on 3 of the matchups. They won't actually all completely play each other, so you have to think about, and we don't actually know at this moment what the next matchups are going to be, but they certainly do, and they're thinking about what decks am I going against. We are at the last round of the tournament. They know what their opponents have. They know what, 2 decks they have up their sleeve, although I still think that, I'm not even sure if Quantal has switched off tier elements this entire tournament. He's just the master. Why bother switching, right?
I also don't think Jesse Kotton has swapped off of Tillemans so far. So both of these Tillemans duelists really the ones to watch here, thanks to the amount of prowess that they have with that deck.
And you said they are both running Abyss Dweller as well?
I believe so.
Isn't that kind of like Superman running around with a box of kryptonite? Their own thing.
You might say that.
Yeah, right?
WCS
you might say that, but I think it is pretty interesting if we do see a tier elements mirror match here, and I think that Flunderies for Emre could be a good option. He's not going to necessarily be playing against tier elements, could be playing against Snake Eyes, could be playing against Yugioh, but just in general, Dimension Shifter I think is good against almost any deck in the format, and I think it could give you, it's a nice card to draw that it pretty much just gives you an instant win if you have a combo to back it up.
I'm going to say it right now. I think one card that could have changed the outcome of many of these duels, and you'll call me crazy, Ebers, Sphere Mode. If anyone had Sphere Mode at any given time, a complete 180. Don't you agree? Tell me more.
I will tell you more about some of the other stuff I'm excited for in this series.
You have zero excitement for Sphere Mode?
I have some excitement for Sphere Mode, but what I'm also excited about is Vanquished Soul being the secondary deck of choice for Ryan Yu. I don't know if he will choose it here because Fire King Snake Eye is just so strong that we haven't seen many of the duelists that do choose that pivot off of it, but Vanquished Soul has a good matchup into a lot of these decks that would otherwise present an issue for these teams.
And it's also a deck that can and usually does play dimensional shifters. So we're talking about why Flunderies is so good, and that is one of the main reasons. Vanquished Soul is also a deck that can play shifter too, and it attacks the board in a variety of ways. You have a quick play spell, which is nice. They're resilient to, dealing with lots of different pieces of interaction because they have so many different points that they can deal with the opponent's cards.
Spirit, Snipe punches, locked in and focus.
It's going to happen.
Also, the ability to tag out is really unique to the Vanquished Soul cards. We don't see too many cards like that, and I think
Gladiator Beasts.
That's normally, that's a little slower than the Vanquished Souls. I think Vanquished Souls are kind of like, the UA archetype, but a little bit better than that. Being able to swap out for other copies of the Vanquished Souls in the hand is so powerful for dodging effects and keeping your opponent on their toes. Not to mention that the Vanquished Soul cards work really well with the Kashtira cards, which I'm sure we'll see in the Vanquished Soul decks if we do see that pop up.
And for anyone just tuning in that was confused to hear us talk about Gladiator Beasts and Vanquished Soul and Sphere Mode, apparently.
The year 2012.
This is the grand finals of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2024 Master Duel category, a rematch of our 2023 finals between North America's Team 7 and Europe's SNIPE Hunters, the reigning champions. But those reigning champions currently 3-0 down in this series.
Hey, Bruce, I think they want to hear you say it. Come on, some of our potential movie titles. Pick one. Which one?
What do you think is going through the head of Team SNIPE Hunters right now? Because they've been in this position. We've seen it happen in, I think, almost all the feature matches. And we are about to jump into the games here. But just real quick, what do you think is going on in their minds as they're heading into this? They know that they have to win. They want to get 3-0. I mean, they want to get the back to 3-0, right? They want to take this at 3 and force it to be, as close as possible. But let's see what happens.
Yep, they just have to reset. They have to focus. And they have to do their best to take this in set 2 of our grand finals. SNIPE Hunters taking on Team 7. And we'll be focusing on Jesse Kotton versus Josh.
I mean, this is a big matchup right here. All the matchups in this are going to be pretty big, but Josh versus Jesse, this is where it's
so they
at.
randomize who you play. You don't know
normal
who you're
summon
gonna play.
Mudora and a pass. I don't think you could, I mean, other than an actual literal pass, I don't think there is a worse opening for Tillemans. Now, you never know. There could be a Tillemans Kashtira in hand. I mean, I feel like that probably would have been activated. There could be a Havness in hand, possibly. There could be Maxi. Maxi is really dangerous if you are playing Tillemans because they have so many of those quick effects that they can draw into. Let's see what happens.
Do you want to be a bit careful about overextension into the Tillemans as well? but there goes the Infinite Impermanence immediately.
That is rough. Jesse's not looking happy about that. I can imagine he's not. We see the one of wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils getting activated here. Haven't seen a lot of this weekend because it is hit in Master Duel, but Diabellstar, obviously an incredibly powerful card. We're going to be able to get to the original Sinful Spoils, and it seems like Josh's hand is pretty strong.
Yeah, wanted getting you to Diabellstar.
All right, so we see Quantal
getting you to
is on Tillaments.
Original Sinful Spoils
Emre
Snake
is
Eye,
on
as you mentioned,
Centurion,
and original
Josh
Sinful Spoils
is
Snake Eye
back
then
on
getting you to the
Snake
Fire
Eye,
King
Fire
Phoenix.
King, I
I
think.
can't tell if this is just a five-headed play by Jesse because he's not even paying attention to his own game, so maybe he's got extra cards in there, or if Josh is just going to be able to combo off uninterrupted, and this wasn't one of those unfortunate bricks that you can build a house with.
It does seem like, you know, we do get that advantage. I mean, it passed back to Jesse for just a moment there, but it seems like, you know, Jesse probably doesn't have too much. I think by now, you know, he would have activated Ash, he would have activated Maxi. We can certainly say that, and it's not looking great. Now, the Medora play was the best that he could have done. When we watch these great players, we know that they are trying to play to their outs. Like, you might not necessarily draw a good hand, or, I mean, even a playable hand at this point.
They're all going to play the best hand that they can possibly play.
You got to try.
Yeah,
you got to try.
Whatever they can possibly have.
Even though you bricked, you don't know if your opponent, you know, bricked or not either.
Which is very hard in this format sometimes, considering there are so many one-card starters. When if you brick, you brick hard.
Get the Ponix to hand.
Seeing the Snake Eye Ash being summoned to add the legendary Fire King Ponix. Ponix is going to get a search here. I mean, we are really just firing on all cylinders against a Mudora vanilla monster. It's basically the old Mudora at this point.
Yep, Fire King Sanctuary then being added to then in turn add the Fire King Island.
To see
and
Fire
things
King
are going to get hot for Josh here with the Fire King build.
And I think what we see this time with the Snake Eye's Field Spell and the Fire King Field Spell is that this is the order that you want to do it.
Haven't seen it much in the TCG, but
out there, and then the Fire King Island, not the other way around like we saw Josh had to do last round.
But this is okay, and it's honestly okay for Jesse to check out in this game and help his two fellow teammates because they just need 2 wins. If they want to win, his game obviously would be great, but it's not necessary. So if you can just let Josh build a board combo and completely dominate it, it's really more on what your teammates are doing.
You say just need 2 wins, but Emre now with the Centurion start has honestly looking like he's got a very, very easy time of it.
But do you see the Harpy's Feather Duster that is resolving for 5? I mean, obviously the Centurion back row cards can chain, and which was what we're seeing here, to special summon themselves, but 5 back row we are taking out. How many times have we seen like the Heavy Storm, the Duster this weekend? Quite a bit, and that is rough. I mean, they are 1-ofs, but you got to draw cards in your deck sometimes.
If Chimera and Trudea now coming out alongside the field spell, all 3 of the starting pieces of the combo now ready for Emre to follow up on with the Centurion, but it still does not feel good to have everything else taken away by that Harpy's Feather Duster.
If you look closely, you can literally see
Cosmic Cyclone as well.
I mean, that is like game losing potentially. I don't think you could really add.
Right,
I mean, Duster plus Cosmic against
Team 7 got another
Centurion,
win.
you are cutting them off of everything. Let's see what we can do here.
Ryan actually, I believe, has just taken down Quantal in
Oh my gosh, that
duels.
puts so much pressure on Ray here and Emre. Emre has to hold on to have a chance. We cannot afford to lose any games on the side of Team SNIPE.
Ray is playing the Pearly deck.
We're seeing my friend Pearly getting activated. Quite interesting. I mean, we've talked about Pearly before. We did see it yesterday, and I think it won a game and then it lost a game. But with Pearly, you can do so much from nothing and get so much advantage. The Noir with 8 material, 10 material, it gets you. It's so strong. It's very difficult to deal with that from a more simplified game state.
And kind of as expected that we were going to see that red team, Snipe Hunters, taking complete control on that bottom and getting their first W on the board.
So Ray from this position knows if he wins this, he will be a world champion for Master Duel. And we have everything we want, right? We have the My Friend Pearly, we have this Stray, we are discarding for that. I'm not actually sure what trap we just discarded there. Maybe a Yeep. Summoning the Pearl Lily. Let's see where this goes.
Emre put Snipe Hunters on his back on day 1. He was so good for them, winning 12 of his individual duels. He was so good yesterday, but can he replicate that today and keep his team in the grand finals?
Interesting play here. So we are going to go the Pearl Lily to add Pearly to our hand, so we must not have another spell in the hand to special summon the Pearly. And what I like about this situation is that even if you can't quite win, although we are going for Happiness here, Happiness is one of the cards that can let Pearly like actually, you know, find game. But Pearly, you know, if we can't secure the win, Emre will get potentially a turn or
Effect
2.
Veiler.
Effect Veiler on the Pearly is crazy strong right here.
Did you say Emre won 12 of his games?
He did.
12 out of it. He's got an 80% win percentage.
I believe so.
Oh my god.
80% is really high.
If anyone can get this, it's him.
Okay, so we are going straight to battle phase. Maybe not the board that Ray was looking to assemble. Now, we will potentially be able to go for a Zeus here with 5 million material, which could be pretty good, but even Zeus by itself isn't necessarily enough to, like, win the game outright. We are adding the Pearly Delicious Memory to hand, which is great because now we have another way to summon another Pearly. Remember that Pearly, of course, is not a once-per-turn effect. And still in the battle phase, we will be doing that. Great choice. That is going to trigger the Happiness effect as well to bounce. This is looking pretty good for Ray. It's not looking perfect. I think this really still is anyone's game. Like I said, Pearly doesn't necessarily win super fast, but let's see what happens.
Primera here, going to be sent to the graveyard or not?
Triggering the Happiness. Adding a Happy Memory. Is this enough damage? I'm trying to count here.
Actually, Primera's still there.
Well, yeah, it's protected. I mean, this is like the combo that you want with the Happiness. You target it, you attack it a bunch of times.
Yep.
Do we have enough? I'm trying to do the math. I think it might just be game. Let's see here. We're at 3,200 attack. The Primera's at 400. We can hit it again.
If this is game, then that means Team 7 will be your world champions for the 2024 Master Duel category, but let's see.
I think it will be, right? Because we're at 31 now. It's going to go to 200. This is going to go up to, what, 34, I think? I think this is just game. Let's see. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Going up to 35. This is just game right here. We see the Pearly Happiness being so strong. One of Pearly's best ways to actually close out the game. And that's Team 7 taking it.
Just like that. Team 7 are the world champions for Master Duel.
Master Duel World Champions.
Incredible. You know, we had a sequel in Seattle, and we're having a different winner this time around. That is awesome to see. Two excellent competitors going head-to-head, but they came out wanting blood.
They waited 1 year to come back for it, and they have proven that they could do it.
This was what it was all about. You know, we saw all three of these players talking online about what was going into this final match. This was a huge deal, running it back, getting a second opportunity to face the exact same team in the finals. And both of these competitors did so well throughout the weekend. Some of the best players in all of Yugioh, not just Master Duel. And it was excellent to see this final rematch. Maybe we'll see it again next year as well. But for right now, let's take a look at Team 7. Here they go, showing some good sportsmanship here. All these people are friends. You know, the Yugioh community is so great. It's not always about just beating the opponent. It's about the camaraderie.
Look at that. 6 of the best players in the world here, you have to imagine. And also 6 of the most prominent figures within the community as well.
Absolutely. Their accomplishments insurmountable. So even though you take second place here, that is a heck of an accomplishment.
Jesse Kotton, Ray Dye, Ryan Yu are now world champions for the 3v3 Master Duel. This is an incredible moment for North America, and what a match we just saw. 5-1, played that so well. This is what it's all about. This is the type of story that you love to see in any game, but especially Yu-Gi-Oh!
You can't help but get a little emotional for him because this is something, you had a grueling day yesterday, 5 rounds, 10+ hours, and to come back today with a W feels good.
And we can confirm
this
that
is
the winning
team, like, comment, subscribe, share the videos. Team 7, Master Duel champions.
In the dual trial,
share the videos. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers.
In Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.